Welcome to MCN and a series of videos where MCN staff talk about the long-term test bikes they've been running in 2025. And this video is all about Saffron's Triumph Tiger 800 Sport. Or was it Sport 800? Either way.
Either way.
Either way.
As long as you get it all in the same sentence,
You
it's
okay?
all right. Yeah, not bad. How about
Good. Yeah, good. Now, this is a bike that's probably very interesting to everyone. It's interesting to me because I love the 660. Now got a little bit more power with this engine, and I haven't actually ridden this bike, so I'm going to be asking you loads and loads of questions. And you've been very kind and given me quite a lot of thoughts already. And our usual thing where we talk about 10 good things we like about the bike, 10 things we don't like so much, although you're really nitpicking with the
yeah,
cons,
that was a
aren't you?
struggle, that, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's run through a few of the stats first. So this bike costs £10,995, but it's 11,000, just over 11 as you see it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because of the
That was
colour?
mainly the paint, and then the luggage actually a little bit extra as well. But
right.
yeah, it's mainly
And the
because of colour.
luggage is at the panniers and the top box.
Yep, that's all part luggage, and then also this
And
bracket
the
as
rack.
well. Yeah,
So 11 grand all in as you see it.
yeah.
It's got 113 bhp, 62 foot-pound of torque, and it's an MCN award winner,
It is, yeah.
2025 award winner. And you've nicknamed it
Bumble bike.
Bumble Bike, for obvious reasons. And you've also said if you were paid more, you'd seriously consider buying one. So you
I
do,
would.
So you do like it, right?
Yeah.
There's a spoiler for everyone, so you can turn off now. Not really. And aftermarket bits you've got, so I can see it's not completely standard. You've got a screen extender.
Yep, so that's from Puig.
Yep. You got hand guards.
Yep.
That's really good. And a Scott oiler, but we can talk about that later. Is that still on?
Yeah, it's on the other side. It's just
Right.
going
Okay.
through, yeah.
And you've put different tyres along the way. So the standard tyres are Michelin Road 5s.
Yes. Yep.
And now you're running Bridgestone T33. So we
Yep.
can talk about those later. And as your job in creating the events part of MCN, you travel all around the country all the time, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So I look after the out and about section, which means
Yeah.
going to lots of different venues, and then I do a lot of the features as well, which
Yeah, yeah.
involves going a bit further afield, which is cool.
Which is why you've done 13,000 miles on this in how many months?
I think I got it March, April, so what's that? 6 months,
Yeah.
7 months? Yeah.
Wow, so that's a lot of miles. That's
Yeah.
a lot of miles. You've been to Normandy,
Yep.
the Orkneys, a bike rally in Tewkesbury. You've been through lots of storms. You've been to Ireland, through Wales, Scotland, Peak District, Lake District, New Forest, all for cafes and...
Yeah. Anything, weekends, cafes, the works. Yeah.
Good. Right, so talk about the things you like about the bike first.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them. You like the way it looks.
Yeah, so it took me a few weeks to warm to the colour, I have to say. When I first got it, I wasn't quite impressed about having the yellow one, but I have to say, after a couple of weeks, I was like, you know what, it's the best one.
Yeah, yeah.
And because it's a sports tour, it's not got that, I don't know, kind of old-fashioned sort of upright
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of look. It's a bit more aggressive and
It's sportier, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just nicer to look at, isn't it? Overall.
I do like the yellow. It's metallic yellow as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really
I had a
nice.
Street Fighter this colour. And Lamborghinis come in that colour as well, don't they?
Oh, there you go.
Well, there you go. You like the way it rides. It feels like an extension of yourself after a while.
Yeah, so I did, when I went to Ireland, I did a bit of comparison test with the Tracer 9GT and this. So we did a bit of swapping as we went, and every time I got back on this, it just felt like you were home again.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because I've just done so many miles in the past few months, but it was just, you know, it's just one of those that just fits. It
Yeah,
just fits.
yeah. And you like the fact it's light.
Yeah, so I don't know how it is for other female riders or other blokes actually, but sometimes when you're having to paddle around your garden or your shed or anything like that, trying to push the bike or you're trying to get it in and out, the weight is always a bit of a concern with me because I'm just thinking if I drop, I'm not getting it back up.
Yeah.
But I have to say, after a few months when I got comfortable with it, it was just, I realised how light it was and how easy it is to manoeuvre even slowly. So when I went to Normandy, I was like hopping up curbs because I needed to park somewhere, and I would have never have done that in a heavier bike because I would have been too worried about it. But it just, yeah, so it's nice.
And you've had a few heavy bikes in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. So it's quite nice actually to have
Harleys
a
and
change.
stuff. Yeah. And an extension of that, the seat, is it low enough? Is it too high? How's the seat fit for you?
So the seat is actually quite tall. You can get a lower seat aftermarket if you want it. But the thing about this bike is it's quite skinny. So as a result, you can actually quite comfortably I can comfortably get my feet flat on the floor. I'm 5'8.5". And I can comfortably get my feet flat on the floor and I'm not worrying about it. And obviously the lower seat's going to help as well. But that's mainly due to the width, the width, yeah.
I think they call that the step over. So,
is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think I read that somewhere. And it's very versatile because of the luggage. You can go sporty riding, touring.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think you'd be out of place taking it out for like a really quick zip around on a Sunday. But equally, I've spent weeks on the road with it and it's done both perfectly.
It does everything. So. I love the 660. I've done loads of big miles on that, which is why it really excites me, the thought of riding this as well. So I agree with you there. And it's a great all-rounder.
Yeah, well, just like I said, it just does everything that I need it to do for my riding personally, and it's just done everything and excelled at it, really.
Yeah, and very comfortable.
And very comfortable, yeah. I've spent, I think I did, the longest day I had in the saddle was about 16 hours. Really? With brief stops in between.
And no pains.
Well, obviously you've got a bit of a numb bum at the end.
Yeah, you can do even if you sat
the main thing is
seat.
Yeah, exactly. The main thing is because of the position, you need to be able to stretch your legs out, but it's just tall enough that you can kind of dangle your legs every so often.
Yeah.
But not tall enough to do it around a corner. But it's
so good.
Not bad.
So not bad leg room. And what about the bar position? That's
that's fine.
Natural.
Yeah, so you're actually a lot more upright than I expected to be, which is good for me because I have a tendency to put a lot of pressure on my wrists. But because I'm quite upright, you don't have that, so you don't get the wrist pain like you would do with a proper sports bike.
Yeah. So your weight is spread quite nice and evenly. And I was interested to know, because this is kind of a Trident in disguise, isn't it? Which is quite a small bike. So is it big enough to be a touring bike? Can you fit 2 people on it?
Yeah, so I actually, I had to pick up a bike or something. So I had to get my husband on the back, and he's 6'2".
Right.
And he's not small, but he sat on the back because I made him basically. So I've got to give it a go. But he said it was about a 40-minute ride, and he was like, you know what, that's fine.
It's all right.
He had the top box on the back, so he had something to lean up against, which obviously helped. But these bars are nice and big that you can hold on to and everything like that. And he felt quite secure. I think having the luggage at the back, making it that bigger sort of space for a pillion helps.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it would have been like without all the rack and everything stuff on there. Probably a little bit different, but he seemed all right.
Because that's one thing people would ask, if I'm going to do sort of big tours, 2 up, would I need the bigger Tiger? Would I need a 1200 or a 9? And obviously not.
I don't
do
think
it all
so.
on this.
No, I've also had 4-man tents on the back and stuff like that, and loaded it to. I'm a serial overpacker, so it's always going to be really heavy whenever I go on tour, and I haven't felt the need to have more power or anything like that. It's always it's always just worked.
Brilliant. The engine. So it's got 3-cylinder engine, one of Triumph's fantastic engines. It's the first time it's been in any bike, isn't it? The 800.
Yep.
So what do you think of it?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Again, when we did the Tracer back to back, we were looking at the DCT version of the Tracer, so it was a little bit different, but obviously you can do manual as well there. But the difference just with how smooth that engine is was ridiculous. Every time I've got on a different bike, I've been thinking, this is really clunky and clumsy compared to this. Which, my last long-termer was a BMW R9T.
Yep.
And that's got the whole rocker engine, stuff like that. So in comparison, it was just like, wow, what a difference.
Amazingly smooth.
Lovely, yeah.
And characterful.
Yeah, it is. So if you want to go and have a play, it has enough so you can go and play. But equally, if you want a nice methodical ride, it's not going to test you too much.
Easy to ride, easy to get on with, nice throttle kind of feel, not jerky.
You don't have to think about it unless you want to think about it, which is nice.
Yeah, that's exactly. Not too vibey.
Vibrant, a little bit. So I had to put, I initially put heavier bar ends on because I was getting numb hands and numb arms. I had to replace them for the hand guards, so they're back to being the normal ones now. Yeah. But they made a little bit of difference, not a lot, but it is quite vibey in the handlebars, so you do get used to it. At
a certain rev range or always?
It's usually, I'd say, if you go in sort of normal commuting, it'd be about 60 to 70. Yeah. That kind of makes it,
Okay. Tank range, you said you could go over 200 miles out of the tank, which is really good.
Yep.
So the fuel light usually comes on around 180 to 190.
Yeah, but even then the range said I had about 60 to 80 miles to go. So I think I pushed it. I think the longest I did was about 230. and the light had been on for quite a while, but the range still said about 30 miles left. So.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Really good. And then mirrors are good.
Yep.
You've got adjustable levers.
Yep.
That's good. The lights. How are the lights? You must have used
Lights
them
are
quite-
blinding. They're absolutely amazing. I was quite impressed. They're better than my car.
Really?
Just for the sake of this comparison.
Yeah.
But I haven't ridden in the dark too much, but obviously in the past few months when it's been getting darker, it's happened more often. And I've had cars come past like flashing at me because they think I'm on full beam when I'm not.
Yeah,
They stop as soon as you go on full beam and realise. But they're very bright, very good.
And does it feel special? Just finally, while you're talking about the pros.
Yeah, for me it does. Like I say, I've been here, 4.5 years now, and this has been my favourite long-term test bike. And that's no mean feat because there's a whole host of bikes that I've ridden.
Yeah.
But this is the one that I've kind of like gelled with the most. So for me, personally, yes, it's special. But I don't know if that's just because it's just so good at everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes it depends on what sort of like personality you want in your bike really, because there's some people that like to constantly tinker and that makes them special. Whereas this is kind of like, no, I just know it's going to be there and I know it's going to go and I know it's going to be comfortable and it's going to be fun.
Always been reliable.
Always been reliable, yeah.
Brilliant. So you can do sporty riding, touring, you can plod around town, you can run around like your hair's on fire, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
All good. Right, I've had to really twist your arm to find some negative points on this bike. The first one you got is the wind noise and the screen, which is something I found on the 660 as well.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't seem, no matter where you put it, because it is adjustable.
Yeah,
it's manually
easy
adjustable.
to adjust.
It's stiff.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, but it's not too bad. It's a manual adjustment. But I couldn't get to a point where it was quiet. I've added the screen extender, which has helped. It hasn't stopped the issue. And the other thing is, this is at the quietest point, so it's at the highest, but it does wiggle a lot in the wind. So if you've got your phone on your quad lock, so if you've got an iPhone, for example, you might screw up your camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is something to be considerate of where you're placing it.
We've said a million times before, but tall rounders and adventure bikes are all noisy in the wind, just because the screens are almost vertical, aren't they? And there's so many bits flapping around. And you said it's quite a thin bike, skinny, so there's a bit of lack of protection as well.
Yeah, so although it's a positive, so you can get your feet flat on the floor. Again, I'm going back to the Tracer just because we did that back to back, so that's what's coming into my head. It was soaking. It rained all day when we were in Ireland, and when you got on the Tracer, you felt a lot more protected from the weather, whereas this, you're a bit more in the elements, which, when it's not bucketing it down with rain, absolutely fine. So it's not too bad. But when you are, and I've been through a couple of named storms in this, you do get wet.
Yeah, I can imagine. Right, so but this bike's got cruise control as standard, isn't it?
Yep.
But you can't adjust it. So it's literally, you set your speed with the throttle, then you press a button?
Yep, so you've got your cruise control button here at the top. But once you're stuck on that, you can't go up and down. You have to turn it off and then do it again.
You can't resume.
Yeah.
No, so that's quite basic. Still handy, still a step above the 660, but it would be nice.
You have to be quite gentle with your throttle to make sure you got the right speed, because if you go a little bit above, it will just go ahead. If it thinks you're accelerating, it will go to the cruise control, will think you're going a few miles per hour above what you're actually doing. So
a bit of thinking to get that right.
Yeah.
So the luggage doesn't come as standard.
Nope.
It's very roomy, easy to use, but it can be slightly awkward to carry.
Yeah, so
especially if you're like going upstairs to a hotel room or whatever.
Yeah, so basically it's really easy to take off and on. It's just a quick kind of lever movement, so that's really easy. The handles are quite thick because they actually join together in the middle, so that's where your seam is, so they're quite thick to hold. And this side obviously has all the pokey out bits, so you need to remember to turn it the other way around or else you're going to bruise your legs, which I did a few times.
Right.
But it opens like a clamshell, and it's as long as you don't overfill it, like I do all the time, as long as the seal is shut, then it's watertight. So.
Right. Has it got inner bags?
It doesn't have inner bags.
So you've got to take your whole panniers up to your room with you.
Yeah.
Smashing them against the walls along the way down the corridors.
Yeah, I've done that a few times too.
We all have. USB port.
Yeah, so that's another additional extra from Triumph. It's only about 20, 25 quid, can't remember exactly. So I asked for it, but the actual port attaches to the battery, but it sits under the seat.
Right.
So you still have to sort out your own wire and everything like that.
Right.
And as a result, this one's been sticking out here, and of course the wire's been damaged because it's been in the elements and all this sort of stuff.
Right.
So you kind of need something else at the top here so you can cover up.
Be good if it's incorporated within the clocks, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be ideal.
I mean, talking about these clocks, this is probably one of the biggest things that people spoke about when this was first released, and all the new Trident 800 as well. People think the clocks maybe look a bit old-fashioned or not very functional. How do you get on with them?
So I think they've got all the essentials that you need. Nothing, I wouldn't say they're fabulous. I wouldn't say they're pushing the boat out, but it's got all the essentials that you need. You can find everything relatively easily. You've got all your information quite obviously on the front, but going through the menu and stuff can be a little bit hard because you have to go through all the options through your little pad here, and this top button sometimes sticks, so sometimes it ends up scrolling through.
And these aren't backlit buttons, are they?
No, they're not, no. But equally, you can't, for example, adjust the clock when you're on the move for obvious reasons, which I discovered when the clock went back.
I mean, it's interesting with these because, like, colour TFTs have been on street triples for years and years and years, and it wouldn't take anything for Triumph to put that on there.
Yeah.
But they have to, I was saying with my other videos with my Ducati, you've kind of got a lesser clock, so it differentiates that bike from the better model. But why not just have the best, especially now when you've got a lot of Chinese bikes with fantastic dashes? It's a little bit mean, I think.
Yeah, I think that's quite similar to the cruise control, because they can do the cruise control where you can adjust it, but I think they're doing it so they can keep the price in that nice, affordable sector. So.
And also give you the encouragement to trade up at some point so you get the better stuff.
No, exactly.
Centre stand, there isn't one?
Nope.
That would have been handy though, wouldn't it?
That would have been very handy, yeah, that would have been. I think there is one as an additional extra, but I never got it fitted to this, unfortunately.
Yeah, cool. What about, has it stood the test of time? You've obviously ridden it through all weathers, you've done a load of miles on it, and it looks pretty good to me, but are there any sort of little bits that would be a little bit irritating or not? Not
particularly irritating. The only kind of show of wear, so there's a bit down on the engine casing. I don't remember which side it's on now. That I literally found this morning when I was giving it a quick wash. Yeah, just here.
Oh, okay.
There's a little bit there.
Is that just chipped off by itself?
Yeah, I think it's just chipped off through going through that, and it's a little bit on the paint, the plastic here. Right. Which again is just through going through.
And you haven't really ridden it through salt, have you? Because you've only had it in the summer, so you haven't really had salted miles, I suppose.
When I first got it, it was still a bit iffy, but no, not particularly.
Yeah. Okay. It's got a quick shifter as standard.
Yep.
But the shift itself can sometimes be a bit clunky.
Yeah, you have to be very definite with your movements. There have been a few times where if I'm a little bit on the throttle, it won't move at all. Yeah. Because I haven't really thought it through the whole way. So a few times I've been there going, as you do, but usually it's fine. I will say it's usually fine, and it works quite well. And
how are the gears when you don't use a quick shifter? When you just
they're really smooth. They're lovely. Yeah, no complaints there whatsoever.
And the Scott oiler you've put on, how have you found that?
So this was actually for a product test. There were just one in the office and it needed testing, so I said I'd have a go because I don't do maintenance.
So the premise of a Scott oiler is it's always lubing your chain, isn't it? Yeah. All the time when you're going along.
Effectively. So I got it fitted by a resident mechanic, and then basically I just got told to keep an eye on the oil levels to make sure it didn't run out.
Where's the oil can for it?
It's on this side.
Right.
It's over here.
Okay.
So put that on, but it's actually resulted in more maintenance because it just gets everywhere. Yeah. So I'm constantly having to scrub the back wheel, and basically my number plate was completely covered. The backs of my indicators are completely covered. I'm like, I won't be having another one, I don't think.
There's better ways of looking after your chain, isn't there?
Yeah, it's much easier just to give it a wash and give it a spray.
Yeah. So. And just on a separate note, tyres. So the tyres it came with, the Michelins, you're happy with?
Yeah, they were really sporty. They were really nice. I was quite impressed with them, actually, because usually OE tyres are a bit iffy, aren't they? But no, I was quite impressed with them, to be fair.
And how long did they last, do you remember?
I had them for about about 6,000 miles.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I did about halfway between.
And these have gone from 6,000 to 13?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they are starting to square a little bit.
You've still got tread on them. So these are Bridgestone's T33 new sports touring tyres. I've used them. I thought they were really good.
They're really nice. They're really nice. Completely different. I didn't realise how much I know they do make a difference, tires make a massive difference, but the actual difference between a sporty tyre to a touring tyre was massive.
Yeah.
But I think both of them suit this bike, depending on how you want to ride it. So.
Yeah. So within the 13,000 miles, have you had the bike serviced?
Yes, once.
When was that?
That was...
About 9,000?
Yeah.
Or was it?
It was, it was about 9, because I think it was due at 9.5 or something, and I was
Right.
on my way to Scotland, so I thought
So
I'd
you
better
had
get
to
it done before. But in that time, I'd had to adjust the chain twice, and then it got a point in the wheel where it was like, what's it called?
Like a tight
A
spot?
tight spot, yeah. So I did actually get a new chain and sprockets
Right.
on the service, which I didn't expect to do, but that is just something to note. Yeah.
And apart from that, it was just an oil change. Did they change the brake pads at all?
Yeah, change brake pads as well.
Right. So brake pads, chain the sprockets. They do the sprockets as well?
Yeah, I believe so.
Right. So finally, have you got anything to add? Any thoughts?
Again, if I could, I would be having this and be keeping it.
Really?
Yeah. So
It lives up to expectations?
it does. It does. It's something like I've been a cruiser rider all my life, so I haven't actually delved into the world of sports tourers very much. But I have to say I'm a bit of a convert just from this. Yeah, it's been absolutely lovely, even with the bright yellow colour.
Yeah.
So can't complain.
And it sounds like there's nothing you'd really change. They're all little small
yeah.
little niggles, the ones I've twisted your arm to tell me.
Yeah, pretty much. It's one of those,
Yeah.
when you're having a bad day, they all seem to be absolutely horrendous, but then you wake up the next morning and go, you know what?
Yeah.
It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It works. It does what it says on the tin, and it does everything you need it to do. So
You'd be sad to see it go.
I will indeed.
Brilliant. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
showing us around your bike. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more long-term test videos coming soon.